what if these look like Superman glasses? We do a lot of due diligence, but I can't see into the ground. What if we hit an old oil tank that you couldn't get from the soils test, and we have an $80,000 problem?
You're listening to the DORE Podcast, where we spotlight the people, ideas, and businesses keeping Ottawa running. From contractors to real estate investors, entrepreneurs to industry experts, we dive into real conversations and help grow everybody's pie.
Episode 14, Ottawa General Contractors.
So today we've got Nick from Ottawa General Contractors coming in for, I think it'll be a fun chat.
Yes, looking forward to it. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for coming and making the time. We really appreciate it. I think the people listening in will have... we get a lot out of our conversation today.
100%.
Now we've had some good conversations over the years and going in and out, and you're very knowledgeable and in the know. So I look forward to you sharing what you know with the people listening in.
Thank you. Two-way street. It's now people get to be involved in our secret conversations.
Exactly.
A fly in the room, right?
Maybe not all of them, but we'll let them in on the top level.
There you go. Fair enough. That's too funny.
No, so obviously you work with the Ottawa General Contractors. Can you tell us a bit more about your role and perhaps what Ottawa General Contractors offers as services to the market?
Yeah. So I've been with Ottawa General Contractors as one of the partners and senior consultant for about 10 years. The company's been around for about 16 years, doing over 100 construction projects a year, typically. Yeah, and Ottawa General Contractors is essentially a turnkey operation doing full design and build. And so I know there's a lot of design build companies out there. There's a lot of mixed messaging that we see, but I'd say we do true turnkey operations. So for investors, as an example, we handle everything from land acquisition, finding properties and opportunities, setting up financing. We do all the planning. We do the appraisals. We do permits, material selections, project management, full warranty, everything. And then working with partners like yourself, who then take over once the building is complete or near completion, get tenants in place, get everything going that way. So we are a true turnkey design and build company, helping clients with projects ranging from a single kitchen renovation all the way up to 30-unit investment buildings. In between, that's custom homes, ADUs, coach houses, basements, whatever. And we've got different divisions under our one umbrella that help in those areas. Yeah,
it's just going to be a fun chat.
It might be a long one.
But that's okay. Yeah, we'll go through it. So, there's questions that people ask us that we want to bring to the table also that are specific to that, and they get a lot of benefit. And one of them that is very prevalent in the market right now is adding rental units. So somebody owns, a single family dwelling, and there's kind of a push to create affordable housing. And I know one of the things that you and I have discussed, and we work with mutual clients, is the possibility of adding a rental suite inside a unit. So can you give us a bit of a, what does that look like from a standpoint of OGC? I'm assuming that somebody can reach out and you can consult right from the beginning, right to key in hand. And I believe that's what it is. Am I correct in that assumption?
100%. Yeah. So we get many inquiries with this and help with many projects. They range in varying degrees. Right now, on any property in Ontario, you can add at least one unit. Many you can actually add two. So a lot of people will reach out, say, I'm thinking about putting a unit in my basement. It's unused. Others are reaching out saying, hey, I've got this detached garage that I'm not using. Can I put a unit there? And so basically, whenever someone's thinking about any kind of project, if they reach out to us, we'll do typically a free site visit. And then a consultation in the office to basically say, hey, you've got this property. Here's kind of the high level zoning. Here's what you could look at doing. But high level, any property in Ontario can have at least one unit. Those on municipal services can typically have 2 units.
Two additional units.
2 additional units. So your primary house.
So when you say additional units, I'm assuming it's in the same footprint of the existing building.
Not necessarily. No. So there's a wide range that are available. So again, the most common is the secondary dwelling unit that people see in a basement, right?
Sure.
You've got a bungalow, you finish the basement, now you have a unit. You've got yours as a owner.
Everywhere in Ontario.
Everywhere in Ontario.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
rural properties, whatever.
Nice.
It all works.
Yeah.
Other versions would be, some people come to us and want to do multi-generational living, but they might rent it out for a few years and then family moves in. Those kind of scenarios where they're just unknown.
Okay.
They might come to us and have that single house and they put an addition to it, connected, and that becomes a unit.
Right.
And if you're in the city, you could actually do 2 units.
Right.
Through an addition.
2 separate units.
Correct. Like you could build an addition, main level's 1 unit, basement's another.
I guess it depends on the
2
setbacks
stories or whatever.
Yeah.
All that, right?
Okay.
Or you do a basement unit and a coach house in the backyard or something like that.
Yeah. That's
way,
interesting.
right?
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, obviously on the same piece of land, and obviously trying to optimize the amount of people could live there and help out in any way, shape, or form.
You got it.
And so if somebody's listening into this and from a standpoint of perhaps giving them the basics, say they own a property, are there any basic things that you say, oh, okay, this is a deal breaker, you wouldn't be able to do it, whether it's a separate access or are there like certain things that you say, oh, if you're exposed to this type of property, it's not possible? Or do you prefer to say, I'll look at every option and see if there's a way to do it? Because obviously if somebody's listening in and saying, for example, I want to build a coach house in my garage, are there any things that would prevent them from being able to do that? Say, for example, from bringing plumbing in, electrical, sanitary, all of that good stuff. Like, is there anything that you say, oh, if you don't meet these, it's not going to work, or it's pretty much you look at anything?
Yeah, being a solutions focused company, I never really want to say no until we've investigated.
Sure.
And we've done some pretty extreme projects. Like as an example, near Ottawa U, we converted a 210 square foot garage into a bachelor style coach house.
Interesting. And it didn't have any plumbing?
No plumbing, no electrical, nothing. It was a relatively new build, so we could work with most of the existing structure.
Sure.
Which has its pros and its cons, right? We still have to go in and trench up a slab that somebody just poured. We've got to put in the plumbing. We've got to modify the openings to make sure we have the right egress points and window glazing for natural light and all of that sort of stuff.
Okay.
But I would say there's almost no property that exists where we couldn't enhance it in some way, right?
Interesting.
Even smaller wartime homes, sometimes we can look at modifying the half story that they've got, adding dormers, taking off part of the second level and putting a unit onto them, even though they have small footprints and they have small yard sizes. I can't really think of anything.
No,
honestly,
but that's good because I'm
head.
just trying to put myself and somebody listening in, listening into this and to say, there's certain parameters, that would prevent me from even exploring it. But my understanding of what you're saying is that
most can
just off the rule of thumb is no.
Yeah.
You'd explore any option out there and see if there's a way to to help with people's projects when it comes to what they're looking for. So,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good. So I know, and the basic requirements, obviously, I'm assuming in a coach house, obviously it has its own entrance, it has its egress. Fire separation wouldn't really be a thing because it's. Are there any issues, any restrictions on ceiling height when say for somebody who wants to build a basement unit? Is there any restrictions? Because I've seen houses where the
ceilings are low.
The ceiling's a bit low.
Yeah.
I'm 5'8", so I can go in no problem. But if I'm 6'2", maybe not. So maybe
might have
Mike's hairdo. Maybe that's
exactly it. Yeah, the hair will be looking like mine.
So we talked about editing the video. We don't want him to edit this one. Yeah, so
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. When you edit it, can you give me the same hairdo?
Put
At least put a shot of yours so everybody knows what we're talking about, right? In terms of the clearances, it's and this is a blanket statement for probably a lot of what we'll talk about today, but there's a lot that has changed. There's a lot of current rules that exist, and there's overlapping rules.
Okay.
There's current zoning and code. There's some updates that have happened into code. There's new zoning coming out later this year, and there's Bill 23 zoning that is all mixed in there.
Yeah.
So I don't have a boom,
No,
boom,
fair
boom
enough.
answer
Fair enough.
because
Yep.
it depends on what you're doing.
Right.
As an example, are you adding one unit to a basement, or are you going to add two accessory units? Maybe one in the basement, maybe one as a coach house. Maybe you've got a single family home, 2 stories with a basement, and you're going to go one unit in the basement, one unit in the main, one unit on the top, right?
Sure.
Those, depending on what you do, have different egress restrictions,
Right.
have different ceiling heights, fire separation, even code differences, whether it's that just one unit or multiple units on the property.
Okay.
So it's a little complicated.
No, fair enough.
Right?
And I understand sometimes I ask these questions and I don't know if there's a straight answer or if it's just like you say, it depends.
The highest level would be, though, if you're looking at something that has like under a 6.5 foot ceiling height across the board, bulkheads can be an exception. Yeah, then we've got to explore things like underpinning, which to me often is not worth it.
Okay.
Or looking at additions or coach homes or things like that don't require modifying a basement height there. But for the most part, again, we'd want to take a look at it just to see
that's fair. That's
what
fair.
solutions
and
exist,
in that same vein, say we're somebody's building a lower level suite, and when it comes to windows and daylight, do you have to have windows in bedrooms? Is there like what? I'm assuming there's certain basic requirements there, or is that again still
similar kind of thing?
Yeah.
It depends on what the overall property, what you're going to do with the overall property, how many units, the structure, where they're positioned, which will dictate the operable windows, the fire rated windows, how many egress points you need. Something that's a common assumption, which is correct-ish, is that every unit needs 2 points of egress, which is not true, depending on the case.
Sure.
If you have units that have their own dedicated egress points, typically you only need
if you're not sharing with another unit.
Nothing shared, nothing connected, nothing overlapped, right? So we've done a couple houses right now. We've got, I want to say like 3, 4 under near construction and about to start construction. Just in the last couple months.
Okay.
Where it's 2-story single family homes with basements, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 units. And all of them so far we've designed with their own independent staircases.
So they have only one egress, but it has to be specific to their unit.
Specific, no overlap, no touching.
So there could be so if you're sharing one, then it becomes problematic.
The minute you touch it, you need 2.
Interesting.
So it's there's some really creative stuff you can do today, right?
And I love the fact that, obviously because going through a renovation or adding a secondary suite, there's so many variables that it's nice to hear that, you look at the option and trying to figure out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And that it's not a cookie cutter, this is black or white. It really is, okay, how do we explore this and still abide by the rules and regulations and the bylaws that that are required. So
at DORE, we're more than just leasing agents, we're rental matchmakers. Our team is dedicated to matching the right tenants with the perfect home. With personalized service and a deep understanding of the rental market, we're here to help you find a place that you'll love. Inquire today and rent from people who care.
You got it. And I think one of the things we always try to do with all clients, right, is, budget is a consideration. So when we look at the property, and sometimes almost to a fault, is I treat our clients' money as if it was mine. And I'm like, I don't see a purpose in spending money unless it's going to bring us value or add value to a tenant's life or, to the project. We look at those things. If you designed a staircase over here versus over there, if you had 1 versus 2, what's even the domino effect, right?
Right.
Are you putting a staircase over there that it seems like on a floor plan makes sense and is a path of least resistance? But then when you look at the 3D model and the overall perspective and the number of units you've got, you've now impacted 3 or 4 other windows that need to be changed into fire rated windows. And now that they're sealed and non-operable, well, that can't be a bedroom anymore. And then you cause this, like the one thing that you thought was going to save you $2,000 over here caused you $20K worth of work over there and loss of revenue. Right. So we really want to look at what do we have? What can we do? How do we optimize this? And we do that as part of our planning process where we assess the property, draw the existing plans, draw detailed proposed plans, full 3D models, and we start to do a detailed scope of work with a fixed price. And we assessed all these cost drivers to figure out what's the best way for.
Yeah, it's optimization too. So I think there's, and I mean, obviously I've been privy to some meetings that you've had with mutual clients, and I can speak for the fact that I could sense that that's what you guys were doing. So it's it's not. I know it's not just a sales pitch is what I'm getting to. I saw it with my own eyes. So
thank you.
Switching up to a slightly different, and this is something you exposed me to a while back, is the long semi and what those options bring to the table. So perhaps just give, because when we had a mutual client working on something that had a long semi option, I didn't know exactly what that meant. So perhaps, because it became a really interesting project, and I know there's other clients exploring it, and you did it with certain clients. So perhaps for people listening in, what would qualify, say, as a property that could become a long semi, and the options for densification and units, I thought was really interesting. So
yeah, thank you. Well, it is, again, we're always looking at zoning information, property size, income, to look at the financial performance of equity gains and cash flow on a project. And again, how do we optimize this? Is there somewhere that not everyone is looking that can really extract a tremendous amount of value? Ideally with the least amount of cash input into it, right? And that's where, when we read through the zoning changes and the Bill 23 changes and how they're kind of complicated, intertwined, overlapping. When you start to see that, you're like, I think I see the gray area, and I think we can make clarity out of it. So what we've done a lot of is taking like an R2 zoned property, which most R2s allow you to do long semis. So for those that don't know, instead of your traditional, side by side split down the center, you're now looking at it where, if that's the front of the property, you've got it split kind of sideways. So there's a front semi and a back semi, essentially. Those often allow you to fill more of the property with building volume. And then when you cut them in half under the current zoning that allows a long semi.
And when we say cut in half, you don't physically cut in half.
Don't physically cut. Kind of, I guess, if they're not already done. If it's an existing building, we have to put a firewall.
So put a firewall. No, but there's no cutting of the building.
No cutting of the building. Sorry, divide it in half.
Divide it, because I was going to say,
better choice of words. Thank you. When you divide it in half, now you've created essentially two dwellings, right? The front semi, the back semi. Bill 23 now says in each dwelling, you can do 3 units.
Right.
So now we've taken a property that traditionally could only do 2 dwellings, maybe with a basement SDU, so a total of 4. And now you can create 6 units, 3 on each. So it was basically just combining the 2 zoning rules, the Ontario level and the local Ottawa, and just saying, we could do this. And the city kind of saying, we can't really tell you no. And that's a great way to add density. And so it's been huge. So in some cases, people are, buying land and we're knocking down the building and we're building these all brand new. In other cases, a great strategy is you can get a lot of those, like, even maybe as late as like late 60s, but mostly in like 70s to 80s, duplex or triplex built rectangles that you see all over the place.
They're like 1,000 square feet.
Exactly. Ideally, getting 1,100, 1,300 would be nice. But if you get one of those, again, we can divide it in the center in half, turn it into a long semi, and take a duplex and turn it into 6 units.
That's right.
Which is unbelievable, right? And then you're usually acquiring those for somewhere in a 750 to 900 range. And you're doing the modifications from about, as low as 650, 700. Most are in about an 800, 900K window, which is way lower than
buying 6 units.
Exactly, right? And then so you're gaining,
and it's all brand new then, because obviously all the conversions happening, all the units are being started from scratch.
Exactly.
So really, that was an interesting play that you brought to my attention. So anyways, I want to make sure I put this in my questions today to make sure the audience can hear about it, because I think it's a very interesting way to do things with an existing property, without tearing out the walls and you're rejigging the interior
100%
essentially, right?
And also again, when you look at the overall financial pro forma of a project, you've got your acquisition cost, you've got your hard construction cost, and then a big one that a lot of people don't really pay enough attention to are your soft cost, right? You're talking about development fees, parkland fees, even your interest reserve. How long am I carrying this, right? And when you do a project like this, again, part of the big push towards them is if you went and got a piece of property, you want to build 8 units, Well, if there's not an existing house on it, you're going to pay development fees for all of them, right? You're going to pay parkland fees. So you're going to add a lot of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in just fees.
Yeah, people don't necessarily realize when you go through that process.
No, and that's huge, right? Whereas the long semi, again, with Bill 23, all we're doing is we've got a front unit, which odds are there's probably a building there already. So we get a credit for that one. We have a back unit. You're going to pay one development fee. And then under Bill 23, you're allowed to add 2 accessory units.
That's right.
No development fees.
That's right.
So you pay potentially 1 development fee for 6 units. So you save a huge amount in soft costs,
and that's a huge,
after tax hundreds of thousands in savings in one easy move, right?
Exactly.
So that, again, helps steer towards that path.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong also, but there were certain areas, say where obviously we're in Ottawa, there were certain areas or corridors that were like these were like, they were everywhere,
streets,
right? There's streets where like this whole street could benefit from this. Because I know what we had reached out for several mutual clients again, say, hey Nick, would you able to do that long semi in this area? And certain areas I don't think you could, because of the zoning. But I think that the ones that do obviously bring a lot of advantages to the table for somebody looking to go through that process.
Exactly. It's huge, and it's very interesting right now. Like we've got. We're in a transition period, I guess, in many aspects of the world. or from many perspectives. We'll leave that on the side for now.
We'll just focus on real estate.
What can we control, right? But we've got the current zoning that's in play. Again, we've got the Ontario level Bill 23 rules that have come in that have kind of twisted those around a little bit. But Ottawa's got the new zoning coming out later this year, end of year type thing, right? And doing these long semis under the current zoning with the help of Bill 23 is really fast tracking what a lot of the new N structured zoning is going to come out. Currently it's all R zoned, right? R1, 2, and so on.
I think they're
the new N zones and stuff is going to create a higher density. They're now capping it, but a lot of the properties where you can do these long semis are going to be allowed to do them easily, cleanly through the new zoning. But to me, the benefit is to go right now because you're way ahead of the wave with all of these changes are going to come up, right? So it's a great opportunity to get in and do those before the big change officially comes out, right? And more properties can do them.
I think there's a big opportunity there, and obviously having you and OGC involved, I think facilitates a lot of that process and trying to take advantage of it and getting a project to a point where it's done. Now it's a matter of just getting leased up or sold, whatever you want to do. But
exactly.
So, and also I know you guys get involved in multiplex, like small multiplex buildings. So can you give us just a sense of like what is that scope? What's your like your ideal building size? Like from what range to what range does your company favor?
So again, we can kind of no project minimum, right? With most of the multi units, we tend to do anything from about 6 units up to about 30 units. Once you start to get into full condominiums where you're entirely concrete, underground parking, pools, all those kind of amenities. That's not in our wheelhouse, at least not yet. But anything kind of low rise, even doing the cold form steel buildings. A couple of the 8 units we've got under construction right now that we've done some walkthroughs and open houses for.
And these are like purpose-built rentals.
Purpose-built rentals, we've actually got 2 right by Ottawa U, 2 8-unit buildings, back to back. There actually we acquired a property that was a double depth for a client as a single property. The realtor there was selling it as one. We looked at it and we thought, hey, I think we can actually cut this in half. Create 2 properties and build 2 8 units. So for our client, we went ahead and picked up the property for the value of a single property, split it, instantly got them.
And when you say for your client, what does that mean exactly? I'm assuming you're not funding this.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying
Yeah.
that. You're not going to
Hey, can you fund it for me too?
I guess we could float anything. We consider anything, I guess, right? Yeah. But
it was just to make sure you start paying attention, right?
Yep.
So I'm like,
you're
is there an
listening. I
opportunity
appreciate
this year?
Client came to us and
use your cash.
you use all our money for free, right?
Yeah.
The client reached out to us basically stating, they want to invest in real estate. They're not sure where to get started or how to get started. Usually part of the initial conversation that we have is, we can pretty much build anything. What's your comfort level?
Looking for stable income-producing assets? At DORE, we help clients buy and sell commercial properties that deliver long-term value. From multifamily buildings to turnkey retail and office investments, let's talk about your next smart move. Visit us at doremultiresidential.com.
Right. And they're like, okay, I'm looking to deploy at a maximum, about $1.5 million.
Yep.
So we're like, okay, great. I think we could, facilitate acquisition of land.
Yep.
Ideally, you pay that outright.
Right.
That's what the lenders ideally want.
Yep.
Pay for the land. Have anywhere from $200K to $400K cash per building.
Sure.
Available to start the soft
What
cost.
size of building are you?
8 unit-ish, 10 unit type thing.
8, okay. Yep.
And that's ideally what the lenders want. So the client had that. So that's where we reached out to one of our realtor partners and just said, hey, this is what we're looking for. We want to do a couple 8 units.
Yep.
What can you find us? And they're like, oh, we saw this property. It's been hanging out on the market.
Nice.
Could this work? And then that's when I just looked at it and said, this is ideal.
Yeah.
Yep. We can cut it in half. We can do this. Put in an offer. Let's go.
Right.
And then so the realtor facilitated that.
Yeah.
We got financing set up for the.
And it was rezoning. Was there any rezoning requirements on this, or was it,
okay? Just severance.
Just a severance,
and a couple minor variances.
Sure. Okay.
But we do those all the time, all day. Exactly. So if it didn't seem likely, we would not have pursued it.
Yeah.
And we facilitated all that for the client. So literally, they've just signed a couple checks, they put their money down, and we've been building these 2 buildings ready to go.
That's great. That's great. Also, because I know you hear the push where the city wants intensification around all the transit, that they're building and so on. Are there any advantages in terms of intensification if you're choosing a property that is close to that perimeter as opposed to being further away? Because I know you said that there's parameters that apply to Ontario completely, but is there any favorable intensification options available when you're in and around the LRT?
Current zoning does kind of follow that. The new zoning coming out is mapped based on transit and amenities, primarily following the transit corridor. So definitely when the new zoning comes out, there's going to be some pretty big unit potential on a lot of the properties that follow it. That being said, even just, what was that, last week? I think it was March 27th, somewhere around there. The city had released an update on the new zoning. Where pretty much all the zones they're based on a number of units per hectare, or they were based on a number of units per hectare. So you could say in the middle of Stittsville in suburbia, if you had a big piece of land, technically the zoning would let you build, if you're close to a major roadway, 25 units. And then of course, as the city maps it out more, they're like, ooh, I don't think that's the intention. So now they've gone back and they've done an update where some of the zones are now capped.
Exactly. Okay.
So it is, even though it might, it'll tell you
there's favorability. That's what I got, because I'm like, I'm sure there's certain things that apply to Ontario completely, but if an investor looking to do something or buy land or do what you're talking about, whether it's a long semi building something from scratch or anything of that nature, I think there's favorability to be in around the corridors. The corridors, right?
In terms of maximizing the number of units on a piece of land, yes.
Okay.
And I'd say this is one of the biggest debates we go through, and a key question that I often get. Someone's either looking to buy a property, they own property, they come to me and they're like, Nick, what's the highest and best use I can have, right?
I do.
Yes, correct. and I know the reason you're doing that, right? But and a perfect example, I'll give you highest and best, but then I'll maybe give you potentially the best project to do,
right,
or the path of least resistance, right? And that's what we do a lot of with our clients, because maybe putting 40 units on this is maxing out the property. but is a 40 unit building really something that makes sense for you?
Right.
Are you comfortable with the cash requirements for that?
Right.
Do you even want to have someone manage a 40 unit building for you? Do you want that many?
For us, yes, but
100%. For you, it's easy, right? But even them thinking like, oh man, that's a lot of people that could annoy Dan.
Exactly. Well, we got a good team, so I'm not going to take credit for that. They don't annoy me specifically.
Well, and it's a great screening makes the biggest difference, right? Great people all around, every aspect. Yeah,
of course.
But that's looking at, what is really best for a particular client, right? So I've seen people where, again, they've come to us, I want to invest. This is what they were thinking. Oh, it's got to be, right off Island Park here. It's got to be in this area. I want it downtown. I'm thinking this. And I go, well, the 5 whys. Well, why do you want to do that? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of this investment? And then, who's your demographic? What are we doing? And then oftentimes when we start to have those conversations, I've seen people steer to, maybe we'll go a little further out. Maybe it does have more geared towards parking. Maybe it's got more storage. It's this is
one of the questions we go back and forth on. Yeah.
And it's so funny. I have a lot of, I should tell you this more often, actually. It's kind of like your parents telling you like, hey, pay attention to this, right? And it's like all the time, especially when we're having the conversations about, bachelor units, pack them in, like we'll do 100 million of them on a property, right? Just go. And you're like, Nick, you want 2 bedrooms, you want parking, You're like, no, just units, right? Like everybody just wants units. And now it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, Dan was telling me, we really need this parking in the store.
This has been a fun debate you and I have had, because obviously there's the highest and best use, and then there's the reality.
Yes.
Right? Because obviously we're in the business of leasing these units up and managing and keeping them full.
Yep.
And obviously owning property is great when cash flow's coming in, but when units are vacant, it's not so fun.
Correct.
Right? So vacancy is a killer. So when we look at product or what people are looking to buy, if there's certain very basic amenities that are not there, we always flag it, just because we know the appetite for the customer, for the potential tenants, right? And I know the city, for better or worse, will push for intensification and completely puts on the table to give you minor variance, or one parking per 2 units, or one parking for 4 units, or no parking in some buildings. And I'm like, great,
crazy, right?
If it rents, great. But we know what it is to attract people, and perhaps in many years people won't have cars, but right now reality is people do have cars in many cases. And, we're starting to see a bit of an appetite for it. But the fact that I, would encourage either myself or somebody as an investor to buy something without parking, I would just say tread with caution. Because there's certain areas where clearly people can walk everywhere and there's no appetite for people are used to that, which is fine. But it's a bit scary for me to say that I would invest or encourage somebody to invest somewhere where there's limitations when it comes to that. So it's always one of the fun debates you and I have on those. So
and very much, we've seen it where I think that's why it's great to entertain the highest and best use, but it's really critical to go to why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for?
Right.
What is that demographic, right? And that's where, as part of our planning process, we really start to uncover truly what a client wants to do. Are you looking for long-term rental, like tenants? Are you looking for families? Is it young professionals? Is it students? Are we Airbnb-ing it or doing any kind of midterm rentals, I should say, sorry.
Not allowed to do that.
Who is it, right? Like what are we doing, right? And I think that's where it's so key to go backwards on that. And in my, now almost 20 years of being in this industry, I remember in the very beginning, up until maybe even about 5-ish years ago, so many projects would get shut down because we didn't have enough parking.
I know.
Now there's a push to have no parking. The minute you introduce parking, it's like, whoa, we don't want parking. And you're like, okay, but again, the demographics have been changed. One of our clients this morning, we were having a chat about and designing the building, and the husband is like, I want the first level to basically be storage, and I want to have a bunch of parking lined up ready to go, and then give me a couple of units. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. I have to explain to you all the options.
Of course.
This would work. It's perfect. But, if we did it as units, you would have more units. Here's what your income would look like, but you would have no parking. So you got to adjust that in the pro forma.
Right.
And his wife is like, I love this.
Right.
Get rid of the parking, do this, do that. And
Right.
then he's like, I cannot own a building without
I know.
sufficient parking. He's
I
like,
know.
I just don't believe in it.
Yeah.
He's like, what are we going to do on a freezing cold February day? Do we expect our tenants to ride their bicycles through the snow with their groceries?
Right.
If we've got these beautiful big 2-bedroom units,
Mhm.
were they going to backpack their kids on the back of their bikes
Yeah.
and cart along all their groceries?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So
No,
don't
I
think it
know.
fits, right?
I understand the logic behind it, but from an investment standpoint, I'm very uneasy with it. Like, there's no other way to say it.
Agreed. Well, I think it's very
Yeah.
location specific
Mhm.
and the demographic that you're going after.
Yeah.
Again, you get that young
And
professional
it's
doesn't
not in
want
the
to car
demographic.
down.
Sometimes you have that, that ideal, client you want, but the reality is owning rental properties again, and I know I'm repeating myself, vacancy is the killer.
Right.
So sometimes you can want that clientele, but at the end of the day, if you got some vacancy, they need to be
Just
occupied, right?
gotta
I mean, you don't
put it in.
want to cut corners, but when you have basic amenities that you don't have, parking being one of them, where if there's no parking, you can't create any, right? So if there's no option, then you're limited. So I'd rather have a building where somebody says, I'll rent it, I don't want your parking spot, and I can rent it separately to someone else or do something else.
Right.
But to say that I don't have the option, it's a bit scary.
It's tough.
you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure some people disagree with me, but that's my experience tells me that we have to be very careful.
100%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because it's kind of a forced lifestyle change. And if it's not changing, you do eliminate some, right?
You eliminate a lot of the people.
Or you're the landlord, the building owner who's now paying for an Uber pass or something
100%.
as part of your rent, right?
Absolutely.
Which,
Absolutely.
maybe that could
that's
actually
a
work
good
out
thing
better. Who
eventually.
knows?
I mean,
But
we've looked at different options over the years, but I'm still uneasy with it. I wouldn't mind having a slight, because I think in the suburbs, most for us it'd be like 1.4 parking spots per unit.
Yep.
Which perhaps you don't need 1.4, but 1-to-1 or 9 to the 9 to 10 or something, just 90% or
Pretty
80%.
close.
At least you're there. But to say it'd be 50 or 0.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well,
we beat up that horse right now.
No,
so.
well, and it is crazy. Like that's I think to touch on a couple of things really quick is like with the Bill 23 and those changes, even under the current zoning, a lot of people don't realize how far this could be pushed. And the conversation I have like put fear into some people's faces, where we look at like suburbia, pick, here in Orleans, Barhaven, wherever. Each of those single family homes could be converted into 3 units.
Right.
And there is
3 or 4?
no
It's
parking
3.
requirement. Currently it's 3.
Okay.
Under Bill 23.
Right.
The new zoning is
It's likely going to
so
be
far
4.
says
Yeah. It
that
could be up to 4.
It should be up to 4. No parking requirements.
Right.
Like,
right.
that's crazy, right?
Yeah. And that could change the landscape of neighborhoods.
100%.
Yeah. Which is why there's a lot of pushback against that. But
It's so interesting right now. So interesting.
Investing in Ottawa real estate? DORE Property Management has 20 plus years of proven results. Call 613-227-0000 or visit dorerentals.com.
So one of the things that I found interesting that you guys do as well is you would facilitate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that you could even facilitate setting up financing for the clients you do work for. Did I misunderstand that?
You're 100% correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So regardless of the scale of project, let's say it's under $100,000 modification to a house to convert to a unit, convert an existing basement into a unit, or part of a garage or whatever it is. 100K, we've got financing options that actually are at 0% interest that are available for those.
Okay.
When we start to get into most of the renovation conversion type products, a couple.
But when
units.
you say 0%, is it because you self-finance or
no? There's some private companies that we work with actually that do a lot, mostly throughout North America.
Okay.
That specialize in renovation and improvement financing.
So you guys are absorbing a fee, I would assume.
We do a buy down rate on it,
Okay.
basically it allows it to offer a 0% interest on, which is huge, which can help people really just get the wheels turning if cash is tight, right?
Yeah.
I'd say the majority though of our multi-units or anything over like 2 units, kind of 2 to 4, are done on future value financing.
Sure.
And then any of the multi-unit buildings, 6 units to 30 units, we would do under programs like CMHC's MLI Select.
Sure.
We would do any traditional financing, but we do help and facilitate that. So with any kind of investment project, our first step is a feasibility study.
Yeah.
So we do plot plans showing what can be built. We do consultations with the city and a full zoning review to get, yep, you can do this. Here's where your roadblocks are.
Yep.
We do Class D pricing. This building will be from this to this. We run a financial pro forma, projected income, cash flow, all the expenses, everything there.
Yeah. That's all in-house, I think.
We do that all in-house.
Which is a huge,
And then
it's
knowing
really fast when the ones that I've seen you
Thank
guys
you.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just from experience, it was impressive to see, because a lot of times you're using different people, but my understanding is this was all done in-house. So it was very fluid.
Yes.
Yeah.
We depending on city feedback turnaround,
Sure.
we can do it as fast as 1 week, an entire feasibility package. So do
Yeah.
I have something to build, right?
Right.
Does it make sense? And then once we get into planning and doing all that, we do facilitate the lending. We've got our lending partners. The reason I bring that up as a first step is we want to look at it to make sure it makes financial sense.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's the purpose of doing it. So we want to screen it and go, okay, all in with your interest reserves and your development fees and everything you're doing, does this project make sense?
Right.
And for many clients, I've been the first one to say, no, I think you need to sell this property.
Right.
Right. Like that's, we've had
we've
clients
done
like
this
that.
multiple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
We've
you
gone
look
through
at
it
it
and
and
you're
you're like, I wouldn't do it. Yeah.
I would just sell it.
So,
I don't think
pay
this
the
is a
fee to go
good
through
use.
that study, and then if it makes sense, great.
Correct.
If not, just
We'll tell you no. Right.
Yeah,
and people are shocked. They're like, but you're the one who's going to make money off building this. I'm like, but I don't.
It's reputation.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think you should put money into this. It's not a good investment.
Yeah.
Go buy something else. We can find something else, right?
No, that makes
and then when
sense.
it does, we get into the financing. But we want to look at that to make sure it makes sense.
So you have preferred vendors. So obviously you guys would look after the draws and getting the down payment, because from the client, and then facilitating the draws to make sure the project goes out without a glitch.
Yeah, and even easier to the point where, especially on the multi-units, the lenders typically have their quantity surveyor who works on behalf of the lender, who actually comes on site to confirm the work that we've done, and they release the payment on behalf of the lender.
Perfect.
So again, we have some clients who are like, I just want to sign a check and I just want it to happen. I don't want to do anything. Don't give me any brain damage. Don't take up all my time. Don't make this a third job for me.
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
And that's where we would work direct with quantity surveyors. They love us because we've got very detailed scopes of work. They're itemized. They're clearly mapped out.
Yep.
We do the full project management. So we literally map out, here's exactly what's going to happen each week. Here's what's going to happen each month. This month is worth X dollars.
Right.
Next month, boom, boom, boom. So the quantity surveyors are like, amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
I know you're going to expect about 150K here, and that's what you're going to do. And they literally walk up with the plans and the scope, and they go,
okay, this is
amazing.
done.
The quality is there. It's done. Everything's done like you said.
Yeah.
Boom. There's the release.
Sure.
Do.
That's
so
awesome.
it's as smooth as you can make construction, right? And
Right.
you don't get those gaps where often you drive around Ottawa and you're like, why is that project sitting for 8 months? Why did that project go up for sale? Why is it going bankrupt?
Yeah.
Odds are it wasn't mapped out. It wasn't clear, right? Something like that was off.
And then when you run out of cash, And you alluded to the fact that even CMHC is going through that application for, you guys just facilitate that, or you have a third party?
No, like our lending partners go through the application and everything, but we provide all the documents, and we work with CMHC, the quantity surveyors, the underwriters, to just make sure everything jives and works and makes sense.
So that's always interesting. Yeah, if they want to take advantage of that certificate of insurance and get all the the reduced rates and the longer amortization periods and all that, which really helps with cash flow, especially on the new stuff.
Can make a big difference, right?
It makes it worthwhile for sure. So
that's
good. And then so if somebody, just as an overall statement at the end, somebody is listening into this, they want to explore doing a secondary suite or a conversion or anything of that nature. There's reality where the no money down type stuff is in many cases something we both chuckle at, which is not that it's not possible, but it's there's certain reality there where somebody has to have some dry powder available to deal with these types of projects. So if somebody approaches you, say I want to build a triplex. And you alluded to the fact earlier that ideally you'd own the land, and you need to have how much liquid cash in order for it to go through the process to What would that look like? Is that 100 grand, 500 grand, or is it a percentage of what that project will be? Where does that, what would you tell somebody in terms of needs for liquidity in order to go through a project like this?
So if it was something like a triplex as an example, most of that, like if it was a reno of it, it would probably be done under future value financing. So we would look at current state of building. If we go from a triplex, let's say we convert it to 6 units or something, we would then say, here's the current value of the property. Call it $1 million. We're going to convert it to 6. It's going to be worth 2.2. It's going to cost us 800. The lenders will look at the plans, the scope of work, the renders, the full package we put together, and give you the future value appraisal for that. If that jives, you might not actually need cash other than potentially maybe 50 to 100K for some of the soft costs.
Sure.
And if you've got the land paid for already, or you've got 50% equity, you might be able to draw that out to use it. So those could be good. I think the bigger projects in the heydays of 4 or 5 years ago, where if you had a property, you had a pulse, you wanted to build 8 units, they would just walk in and be like, here's the cash, good luck, have fun. That certainly does not exist anymore. Now when you're getting into like multi-units, you want to do 8-unit buildings, you want to do that type of thing, or larger, you're going to want, ideally, again, the land fully paid for, and then you're going to want about $200,000 to $300,000 cash or assets outside of the primary build. Available to draw or equity out in those assets to draw to get it started.
Because I think it's wise. I think for people listening in that explore this to know that getting involved in a project like this, as fruitful as it can be, having cash on hand is
it's key.
It's key. Or else it could be very unpleasant.
Correct. Well, it is. It really,
to say it mildly.
It's honestly one of the I never thought I'd have this long of a career in one specific industry, and the whole reason that I came into construction was just I see it's a way that I can help people improve their lives in many perspectives. And I get to kind of change Ottawa. So there's a little bit of a legacy piece, right?
Good for you.
And I have a lot of fun. It can be very positive, very stressful, lots of chaos, but it can be just positive improvements all around. And the worst scenario that I see is when people are going on those razor thin margins. I've got, I've only put 10, 20% down. I can refinance 50K over here, and I think I can build this. And then you're like, but what if wrong, these look like Superman glasses? We do a lot of due diligence, but I can't see into the ground. What if we hit an old oil tank that you couldn't get from the soils test, and we have an $80,000 problem that no one could forecast? And the lenders, because you're so maxed out on everything, they won't give you $1.
That's right.
How are you going to come up with that?
That's right.
And then now you've got a project that's a quarter of the way through construction that you have to file bankruptcy and go don't destroy your life over this.
Exactly.
Make sure you're comfortable with the project. And then if it works, we can just do it over and over again, right? Like you want to do 8 units, but it's not there yet. Let's do 2. And then let's do it again. And let's do it again. And then those will probably give you the equity to do this one for free. Right?
Exactly.
Let's
I think this if anything we discussed today, which a lot of it is nice and opportunity, I think that those are words that everybody needs to pay attention to, because I'm privy to a few projects who are in this unfortunate situation.
Same.
And it's not fun.
It's not
right.
Good.
You don't wish that on anyone.
No.
And you're just like, you hope to get out of it, or else you're dragging on with this
crush
issue,
individuals, crush families. It's just
I think it's important. Anybody listening to this, I hope they listen to this end, because I think that this is wise advice for anybody thinking of embarking on this journey. So
100%, because it is, you run the performers on some of those big
I know, as we always say,
a million. Whoa,
it looks really good. It really looks good on an Excel spreadsheet.
Under a year, and then you're like, whoa, okay. If you don't have this much cash, that's really risky, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So we map that out, and that's why, again, we want to consult and be like, okay, these are the options.
Right.
There's your highest and best use. these are the things that, based on what you've told me, I think maybe you'll be most comfortable with that.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then let's do the next one.
No, I think that's why I was looking forward to having you on the podcast, because my interactions with you and your team have been very positive, to a point where I'm like, hey, if I can get Nick to come in and talk about what they do on the podcast, I think it'd be beneficial for people. So that's why even I have a comfort level too. So, or else I wouldn't just let anybody come in and talk to people we mutually take care of. So appreciate on you. So
yeah, well, and thank you. You handle. I could never deal with the past construction part, so I appreciate you taking care of all of that. Thank you so much. Amazing team, and yeah, it's lovely just to be like, yep, here's the building.
No, fair enough.
I've done my part.
Yeah, exactly.
Have fun with that. Yeah, exactly.
So Nick, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Is there anything else you think that perhaps I didn't touch on that you think I should have touched on? I think we covered pretty much. I'm going in again from a client's perspective, coming in and exploring this option. So trying to hit different angles and knowing what I'd seen and witnessed from what you guys do. I wanted to highlight that. So, but I just always like to give the opportunity if ever I miss something that you bring up. But if not, I think we're good.
No,
I think we've. I think it was we touched
covered a lot.
Lines.
Yeah, we covered a lot. Thank you. Yes,
thank you.
And that's what obviously, if anybody does want to reach out to us.
Yep. Well, Mike will have all of the information
stuff
on the video, so then that way,
if there was something that pops up as a question,
and I'm happy to if somebody wants to reach out for references and all that, we're happy to do that if and when you need it. So
amazing.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the DORE Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or investor focused on real estate in Ottawa, we want to hear from you. Apply to be a guest and check out our video content anytime on YouTube.